Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network. Hi, this is Amit Doshi, and I wanted to thank each and every one of our listeners. It's been 2 years since I founded IVM, and it's been an amazing 2 years. We wanted to learn a little bit more about who is listening to our shows, and so we put together a short survey. The survey is anonymous, and we aren't going to be collecting any personal information. I would really appreciate it if you could take a couple of minutes out of your day and go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and fill it out. Thanks, and please keep listening.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Here we are, it's a weekend, and what do we get to on the TFG Indian Football Podcast when it's a weekend? It's like so many actions, right, during the weekend that we talk about. But today there are no matches. We'll come to the previewing of the matches in I-League, because before that, we have a special guest on the show. Yeah. He is special guest.
Guest bana diya. Guests are those who don't come very often.
You are our guest. No, people are missing you. People missed you yesterday on the show, you see. And because then we had to tell them, one person has to be on the ground doing all of this stuff, so that we sit here in the air-conditioned room and rant about it. But Nikhil is the guest that I'm talking about. Well, I'm just being
visiting faculty.
Yeah. Yeah. So when he comes on the show, remember, we have a lot of exclusive and special things happening. Now, you were at an event yesterday. Yeah. We did touch upon some of it, one part of it, which is the yesterday. It was a very good dose. Yes. But today here, we start with how was the event and what was it about and who all were there.
Yeah. So it's a 2-day event. It's called as the Football Movement. This is basically made by this company called as India on Track. Okay, they do a lot of things in Indian sports, including the at the grassroots level. So the conference was very good. Basically, they called upon Premier League guys. Now that's a big feature of this event, because they had chairman of Premier League, they had managing director of Premier League, and when you have people like this coming into India and talking about collaboration with Indian clubs, Indian federation, it talks a lot. Yeah. Okay, there are very high stakes involved. A lot of people, the companies that were presented over there. It's a 2-day event, so today also, Alan Shearer is coming today.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's the kind of celebrated event it was. It was a good event, but what I feel is this forums, the participants that are there in this forums, very few know Indian football. Since they think Indian football is from the day Indian Super League started. Which is not the case. Yeah. I mean, we all know that, but unfortunately, this is the scene, and few of the presentations actually showed that we have so many United followers, we have so many Arsenal followers, so the market for Indian football is good. How? I mean, how can you gauge that because we have United, Arsenal, Chelsea followers, Indian football will grow? Indian football is different. Indian football is about Indian players, and that's how. But overall, it was a good event. Many bigwigs were there. Kushal Das was there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's about the event.
I think you made a point. Now you said there was a manager and chairman of Premier League. So I think you had a question for him.
Yeah. So it's a privilege. It was the managing director of Premier League, Richard Masters. He was there, and when you work in a field like this, sports, or you do something that you are really passionate about, you get this kind of opportunities to talk to them and ask them questions. So I asked them that, Indian football has been tinkering with their model for such a long time. We had NFL, we had I-League, and we had, now we have ISL. When was the time you felt that, this is the right moment to get into Indian football because of so much of hostility in terms of the business model? Was it safe to come and invest in India? And he had a very nice point. He said that 5 years we have been working on this. We have selected 10 markets. Okay. For their own purpose, for their own, profits. Yeah. Well enough, fair enough. But it's their study, and they have, taken India as, one of their markets. And he said it's a long-term project. It's not a short-term. Yeah. Tops, the guys who make those card games, their CEO was present at. Okay. And he said that from 8 years we are here in India. we are not making any money, but I'm not going out. I'll be here for another 8 years.
Okay.
It's an investment. Those things, I just thought Kushal Das should say, ki like, it's an investment. We have to wait here. Money वगैरह सब बाद में आएगा. Let's concentrate of what we are here for.
Instead of what he said yesterday.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
In these 8 years, we have changed our model 2 times. So, that's the vision that these guys have. And guys, you can listen to what Richard Masters have to say.
Yeah, let's hear from the horse's mouth, as Nikhil likes to say.
Well, we've been out doing things for the last decade, really. I think that in the last 5 years we have started to think about how you actually deploy your resource. We are actually a relatively small organisation. There's only 130 of us. We've all got very busy lives, and when you think about the international nature of the Premier League and the resources in terms of time and money and where you invest those resources, we decided to concentrate on 10 markets, and we started this thinking about 5 years ago. And obviously India has always been one of those 10 markets and has risen up the list in terms of its potential. I'm not saying we are necessarily brilliant at it yet. I don't think we are, but we are committed to the long term and doing it better.
Yeah, well, just like you said, fair points there. I mean, kudos to these guys. Though we say, we have large followers of them, but they've done that marketing well. No? We should have adopted that instead of saying that we are a failure all of that.
There are instances where we have seen that Premier League is actually helping Indian football. One was we saw Delhi Dynamos, in tie-up with West Brom.
Yeah.
Second is there was this head of Premier League referees, training for Premier League referees. He was here in the conference and he said that we are already working with, now he mentioned this, Indian Super League referees. Now I don't know how different are Indian Super League referees with I-League referees, but he said that we are working with them, we are trying to enhance. One of the major points he made that most of the referees in India, this is a part-time job for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This refereeing should be a full-time job.
Yeah.
And that is how he actually spoke to the federation, that is how you should look at it. If you want someone to actually make this as a career, then they will put their heart into it.
I think if they're given the benefits, then they will definitely.
He made a very important point that if a referee is using this as a part-time job and his full-time job is with the company of which the team is playing, there could be a lot of chances of biasness in decisions.
Conflict of interest.
So he said you need to sort this out. Make referees work full-time into refereeing. Make this as a career, and things will change. So these kind of things we are seeing that, and slowly and steadily, this will only grow. So it's a great thing. Coming back to Kushal Das, so we have heard yesterday what he said, and he has accepted that I-League is a failure. What I thought about it was, see, at top you have the federation of any sports, and then you have different arms, the commercial arm, the marketing arm. Here the commercial arm is so huge. It's such a huge company that federation, I feel, has to listen to what they say, and that's how federation becomes very powerless in terms of taking any decision. So, and I heard yesterday's podcast how you guys were venting out, and my blood was boiling over there when Kushal Das was saying all these things. But I kind of calmed myself, no, there are big wigs of Premier League over here, and let's not get into, because I had a lot of questions. I wanted one-on-one with Kushal Das, but he just disappeared after the event. So guys, let's listen to what Kushal Das had to say. Here is the clip for you.
Yes, as I was saying that in spite of best efforts, the I-League suffered in terms of visibility, in terms of spectators, etc., and did not create the necessary revenue model which we were hoping to create. Therefore, it was necessary to create something, as you rightly pointed out, a rocket, which brought in the visibility, brought in the spectators, and created a product which has, in future, can be commercially sustainable. And that was exactly the idea behind creating the ISL. But there are challenges that we are facing, and it's entirely a top-heavy approach, and we need to really build from the bottom also to make for Indian football to be sustainable. And that's why there's a clear focus of the Federation on grassroots and youth development now. And that's the reason we've got the Under-17 World Cup to India. And I'm sure the clubs are also now looking at grassroots and youth development as a revenue-generating area. Unfortunately, we have, in India, we still haven't created a training compensation model or a transfer fee model. And we are in the process of creating that. So therefore, that will give further motivation for the clubs to start from the bottom, create a grassroots program, a youth development program, and only then can Indian football succeed in the long run.
So my question is, we have moved from NFL to I-League to ISL now. Where does it stop? I mean, we have been tinkering with our model. Now it is ISL. And my connecting question to all other gentlemen would be, at what point you felt that India is a market to come and invest into?
So, you would have heard that we are in the process of trying to restructure our league so that we have a long 6-month league with different tiers and with promotion and relegation. It's work in progress at the moment, but ultimately that's the goal.
So you confirm promotion and relegation? Sorry? You confirm promotion and relegation?
Ultimately that is the plan.
Well, I don't think we have to, talk about this anymore. One of the tweets that one of them asked on Twitter was, I hope there's probably there's a part 2 to this, but I think, and I replied saying, part 2 also would be the same thing, and it will be the same, our reactions, same reactions from us as well, and it's just, I don't know, when our people will realize what we here want, the Indian football fans want. Okay, moving ahead, let's talk about something positive that happened there.
Yes.
Youth development, that's what we're talking about, right? Grassroots. We need people engaging from the grassroots level so that the sport grows. That's that's a start, right? And there were a few people who were in favor of that, and you also spoke to one of them.
Yes,
why don't you?
Yeah, so Gaurav Modwal, who is basically the CEO, I guess, CEO and co-owner of Pune City FC. Now, Pune City FC is one ISL team who takes the youth development and grassroots developments very seriously. We have seen them, taking into the residential academies and talking about. So I met him, and we had a basic discussion on what Pune City is willing to do. And so he had made a very important point, saying that he gave an example of what China is doing right now. They said their target is to have 20,000 residential academies by 2020. And he said that they are very serious about it. They will have it.
Yeah.
Similarly, when we are right now talking about Under-17 World Cup, and we don't have many residential academies. So he said that at least by 2020 we should have at least 150 residential academies. And he says that, there are so many, we spend around 5 to 10%. ISL clubs, they spend around 5 to 10% on youth and grassroots developments. He said 5 to 10% mein ho jayega. Okay, residential. Every ISL club, it should be compulsory.
Yeah.
And it should come by the ISL themselves. Everybody
exactly.
should have a residential academy. And I asked him this very question that, you are doing so much in terms of grassroots and youth development, whereas the other teams are not doing that much.
Yeah.
Does it bother you? I mean, मैं इतना कर रहा है, बाकी का कोई नहीं कर रहा है, मेरे को ही पड़ी है. He said that when you set up a residential academy, you fall in love with that.
Absolutely.
He says that I am more attached to my residential academy players than my first team. And, this is the difference that everybody should get. Yeah, because Indranil Das was also there, but I couldn't get in touch with him. I think he left. I wanted to talk to him on grassroots as well. But this was a very important thing that he said. And these guys are setting up feeder clinics at Kolhapur also. So that was another big news. The big news was they are setting up, they have so many players, so many talented players that they want to place a second division or a League 1, League 2 division, a team with Pune City, so that the players are continuously playing, they are continuously having a game time.
Which is absolutely great for Indian football.
I think I should not disclose everything, but the thing is that he spoke so much sense.
Yes.
That that was the highlight of yesterday's football movement. So let's listen to what Gaurav Modwell has to say. Okay, so that was a big announcement of having your certain set of players getting ready for a second division or a League 2 or a League 1.
So I'm not saying that we have already got the approvals for that.
Okay.
But we have already applied to AIFF.
Okay.
Saying if we can, it's coming out of pure need, because see what used to happen earlier, there used to be under 19 teams.
Okay.
Under 19, and then many players used to get a chance straight away into I-League.
Yeah.
Now, for us, the problem is that we have ISL. A lot of these players have talent to be in ISL. A lot of these kids who are playing for under 18 for us, they have come from India setups. So many of them have played India 17, under 17, under 16, under 15. And at this point in time, the key issue for us is a lot of them will get second division clubs for them to go on loans and play. But we feel that their training will completely get reduced and the quality of training will completely go down if we send them out on loans, because we tried doing it with a couple of players this year. And
overseas?
No, in India.
Okay,
if I send them to League second, I-League second division or something, or even I-League, some smaller clubs for them to go and play, we are not at all happy with the way they will be trained there.
Okay.
And second is, if they continue to be with us, the training that they get with us will be in line with the club's overall style of play, overall model of game. So they learn, they are in the same setup, they continue their development over a period of time. The only other option is I send them out to other clubs, and there they won't either get that attention to see, but the level of training
Pune City did that.
We did send one or two players. Like this year, if you see, Chester Paul was playing for Churchill Brothers. He scored the all-important goal against Bangalore. He scored another goal then after that. So he's 19. He's just moved out under 18 setup, and he has gone there and he's playing there. Similarly, we sent Ashik to Villarreal. So while one or two could go abroad and get trained, which we'll continue doing, but the problem that we're facing, that we have probably in a batch of 25, I see at least 7-8 guys who can play India. Okay. At least can play
top division.
Yeah, can play ISL, can play India. There could be 15 guys who will play I-League in a batch of 25-30 kids. So how do I send them, and where do I send them if I don't play in I-League second division? So we have applied saying that we will put up a reserve team, which will have 10-15 players from this team. Plus we will look at kids who are 19, 20, 21, who are good prospects for us going forward, and we will scout them and bring in as part of one team.
Is it because that the academy that you have right now, the residential academy or the non-residential academy, the players there are a lot of players over there, and some of them might make into the top.
And they're good players. They're really good players.
Okay, so you are taking care of those players who might not find a place in top division or a top.
No, rather I am worried that they just see. At 18 years of age, it is difficult for them to go into Pune City ISL team. It might be also too early for them to go into an ISL setup. And the way today ISL and I-League is happening, it means 6 months they are free. They're not doing anything. If we keep them with us, they would be practicing with under 18 team, but would not have competitive matches. The only place they will play is PDFA, Pune District Federation, which is not of a high quality. So where do they get good games? So the idea was to form a I-League second division team and make them play through the season. They are with us, they will continue with us in our academy and continue playing that, most of them. Whereas we will add 7 to 10 players who have left the academy earlier or whom we scout are good players to make the reserve team really strong team, so that all of them have a good chance in next 2 years, 3 years to play for ISL.
Okay, so I was listening to your conversation in the panel, and we spoke about a template given by ISL that there is a mandate for treating youth and grassroots development, but it is not followed compulsorily by all the
But it is not what I was talking about is what I was proposing. It is not a mandate of, I was saying that
So there is no mandate.
there is a mandate to put up an academy. Residential, non-residential, ऐसा नहीं है. 5 साल में एक academy डालने का. There is a mandate. Okay. But what I am saying is that as a country, we today have 6, 7, 8 academies. That's about it. And a country like us is like shame. If we have 7, 8 academies and we are talking of big football, we are talking all the right things in terms of words. But is it really difficult for us to put 150 residential academies in 2 years' time? No. If you think of it, an ISL club spends at least about 50-60 crores expenditure, not loss. Expenditure would be 50 crores of an ISL club. If we are saying we are putting 5 to 10% in youth sector, that's 2.5 to 5 crores. That's good enough to put a residential academy and putting a non-residential academy both. Okay. And do some grassroots reach out programs also in that money. If it's nicely done, you can do all this. So that means if we eventually have 10 to 12 clubs, we have 25 academies from the ISL. Then obviously I-League clubs will be smaller clubs. They don't have as much budgets. So let's say ask them just to put a non-residential academy. Each one, which is not big because non-residential academy costs far lesser. So far lesser. Main expenditure is food, stay, and things like those. If it's only the coaches and all, you can do much lesser. So if they put 5% of their budget, you will get one academy from each. So you get 35 academies now. Then you ask every state, not the state association, each state sports budget to allocate 4 crores, which is good enough to put one residential, one non-residential academy. 30 states and 60 ho gaye. So you are reaching already 100 academies. Now, apart from that, all the private academies, DSK Liverpool or whatever. Like, okay, DSK is a I-League club, but all private like Tata Foundation, all those academies which are run on CSR or done by... all of them will come in. You will yourself find 50 more academies will come in if there are 100 academies. Because today we are spending a lot of money in sending our teams to play abroad and exposure tours and all. We don't require that. If we have competitive teams here, 100 teams, you can play so much between the 100 academies. So ecosystem will build not piece by piece. It's like आज कार के एक टायर में हवा भर देते हैं, गाड़ी नहीं चलेगी. You have to have all the tires working. You have to have everything working. The ecosystem has to be built. ठीक है, बाद में we'll build a Ferrari. First build a Nano, but build an entire car. Don't build just... But that was actually my question, because if you look at all the ISL teams, we see that Pune City FC is doing much more than compared to different teams that are there. Does it bother you that you're putting in so much effort and others are not? I mean, it doesn't bother me. I would tell all of them that you will fall in love with your academies if you put a residential academy. Like when you see these kids playing, when you see their ambitions, when they stay with you 12 months, they don't come be with you for 3-4 months and go away. They are far more my players than anyone else. More than ISL. I feel these are my players. So I would recommend everyone put an academy and you will fall in love with these players. Okay. What's happening with FC Pune City going ahead? I mean, the amount of grassroots works you are doing, the amount of, fan engagement. FC Pune City is not deserving, not getting the kind of attention it should have got from Pune. Does it bother you? No, it's not really. If you really see, there were Bharat FC and Pune FC matches which had 200 people. Today we have stadium which is full of 8,000, 7,800, 8,000 actual fans there cheering us up. So, but there would be certain areas who would love to have a dedicated. Yes, probably. If the same efforts would have been put in Kerala, you would have had way different result. So that's true. Or in Kolhapur. Or in Kolhapur, or in So we are moving. As far as we are concerned, we are moving into Kolhapur this year, for sure. We will do a lot of work in Kolhapur. You mean FC Pune City? Yes, we'll move into. We see Kolhapur as a good feeder market for us. Very, very good feeder market.
Okay.
So we will get into Kolhapur for sure.
But your
If
main
not
base
other
would
places,
be
if
Pune.
not other places. Pune will be the main base. It will
Okay.
be Pune. But we will create our feeder centers around Pune,
Okay.
which would include Kolhapur, which could include
So
smaller
there would be a
places
team from Kolhapur as well.
not a team. It will
Okay.
be like a feeder program to getting ISL players. So we will
Okay.
open some kind of a development program
Okay.
in Kolhapur to get those kids, and then if they are good, they will come to our residential academy.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we'll start
okay.
a program in
So that
Kolhapur.
a scouting kind of
Yes,
a program.
yes.
Okay.
More than a scouting, like far more involved than scouting.
Okay. Your takeaways from events like this, where Premier League comes in here, and you yourself have joined hands and brought them here.
At some level, what I kept saying that there are no pitches, there are no coaches. Most important and simplest thing for me is creating good coaches.
Yeah.
Very good coaches, and we can create. It's not like education is something that we are very, very good at, right? Here you don't need to be a good footballer. You need to love football, you need to understand football,
Yeah.
and you need to learn about football and how to communicate with kids and things like those. You need to learn a little bit of sports science, you need to know a little bit of physiotherapy and stuff. And this India is really good at every industry we have created, tons of manpower, which is highly qualified. So this is the easiest and simplest thing that we should immediately start doing, creating coaches. But while we keep saying the coaching, infrastructure, and these are important things, they need money. The first and foremost and the most basic thing that is missing in our football ecosystem is believe that we can build something.
Okay.
And that's why ISL is big, in my opinion, not for what is happening. Things will change. If you don't like a certain policy, someone else doesn't like, or whether it should merge or not merge, these are things which are still can change. But the big thing is the belief. It brought in belief that yes, people will come and watch matches. Yes, they are fans. Yes, we can see good quality production happening. Yes, we can see foreign players coming and playing in India. It is belief, and this is one level, just at the league level. This is the same belief Abhishek was talking to the parents, saying they can be employed.
Yeah.
There can be employability in this sport. It's about this belief. It's about creating. When you decide upon a vision at the country level, stick to it, break it down to minute details, and ensure it happens. And then you will find that the corporates are coming in and pumping money, because they see, okay, last year they said they will reach here, they reached. Next year they said they will reach here. So we are moving, and we are moving in right direction. You get a lot of people to come and start putting resources, money. बहुत पैसा नहीं चाहिए for growing this sport. आज की comparison में 10 times चाहिए, but for a country of our size, it's nothing.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you spoke, he spoke everything that we all want to hear from the federation, the system, the association people on the top, right? I just want to ask you, Nikhil, or both of you, any of you can answer. Do you think, yes, there's a person like that who has an idea and he wants to work towards that, okay? How successful can he be? Just like you asked him the question, not many other clubs are interested in doing, or some clubs came into the picture later of having an academy or something, or because they were pushed. Now here is a man who wants to do it since day one, and he's trying so hard, but it's also a thing of pressure. How far can one person go with this idea?
Yeah, I spoke to him about this in terms of sustainability or financial stability. He said, I'm not bothered about it. There was a discussion on financial stability, and there was this gentleman, Srinivasan, who is I think marketing head of ISL, and he said that he made a point that we need to also look upon the commercial feasibility in grassroots development, that how much returns we are getting from grassroots development, and it's not possible. Either top division तुमको financial return नहीं दे रहा है, how come grassroots will give you it? I was very much surprised to hear that kind of statement from him. But Gaurav Modwal, he seriously said that I am not worried about now. Okay, we have certain budget allotted to grassroots development, and we are going to continue with that. So, he has his area properly sorted, he has his focus, and he has a timeline that, we are going to invest. And see, football only has to grow. There is no decline for that. this. Okay, we have under 17 World Cup, we have our national team doing well. At certain point in time, there will be a lot of clubs coming in. There will be a lot of, football players coming in. So I think the growth is there. It's just that everybody, all the stakeholders should realize that, we need to give an equal amount of energy, money and dedication to the sport.
I think it's not something to be thought about as an investment, because what we are trying to do with grassroots development is breaking the culture of Indian football. Because in India, you do not have many parents sending out their kids because they don't see anything, their child growing into this career. That is what we are breaking over here. That's breaking the ice, not as something like a career from the age of 3 or 4. You want people to see that their kids can grow.
Yeah.
So when parents get to know this, because we are not living in a country where the infrastructure is such that parents at the age of thinking of putting the kids into nursery also think about their sports development or active, physical development. See, that is the idea. That is not there in our country right now. If you are able to convince the parents, because a lot of depends on the Indian culture when you talk about sports. Right now, even if you see, there are not many, prodigy
child
players.
prodigies,
That is precisely the reason we are lacking.
Okay.
If we are able to get that foundation laid, where football can, or any sport can be started at a very young age, only then you can have the best top tier.
Yeah. Do you agree, Shraddha?
Well, I think the great point that I liked what Model said, what you just said, that if you have to do something, like you invest your money in or whatever and you start an academy, it's very important to fall in love with it. It's very important, because if you are a person not coming from a background of footballing, and in per se only business point of view, and then you turn into the sport, and then you're putting your own money, and then something doesn't fails, something doesn't go in the way that you wanted to, then it's very easy to say, "Arey, chhod do," But if you fall in love with that, you're like, no, I will see to it that it gets, it goes big and it goes successful. So I think respect to this man who is trying his best to do it, and I hope that he keeps that word of, we see him do that sustainably.
And he should actually get what he deserves from Pune.
Yeah.
Pune guys, come on, go and support your team, man.
One more point just before I wanted to ask you all, before we get into preview, is that these players, as Kevin Ruddle said, there's no child prodigy as such. The young ones who go out, who have an exposure, like we had Ashish Kurian and many others who went to that.
Ashish Kurian, another Pune City.
Yeah. So all of these, I think whichever club that they belong to and they go, when they come back, their owner or their coach or something should give him a position, probably a senior level kind of position, and when they're doing some coaching or training, ask him to share his experience and something, I don't know how to work that out, but I'm just saying, these players, when they come back, they should get the limelight, put them in that spot where they can share, 1, 2, give them why is it important. They will tell you why is it important to take it seriously, because and how much can you take, and going ahead what you should do. So I think these kids deserve that, because they earned it and they've gone there, right? They've not just gone out of nowhere. So I think
even the Indian government is playing some part in doing this grassroots development by the Mission 11 million. So I just came across this article where they said they have teams set out to meet parents, teachers and even the school administration to talk about how football can be a way of life. It's not just a sport. It's way more than that. So that's already begun. Even though that might not be in the news far and out, but we know that some steps have been taken. At least 2017 is a good start.
Okay. Yeah. One final point, he spoke about kids and their parents. One thing that everyone should realize is sports is not an entertainment.
It's not.
Sports is a culture.
Definitely not.
Please, time pass के लिए sports मत देखो. we have seen societies been uplifted. We have seen countries being changed because of sports. It's not an entertainment. जब ये ना properly seep down होगा ना कि नहीं, it's a culture. It's an upliftment of an individual, of a society, or of a surrounding there.
Yes, definitely.
That will make a lot of difference.
Like my agenda of this any day I have a kid, and that time if there's any around a school that says it's a sports school, I would rather send him or her there rather than, I mean, you can learn ABC, even I can teach the kid. Messi didn't know English, but Messi didn't know Spanish or anything. You don't need a language, because sport can teach you a hell lot more than life itself. Now let's come back.
बहुत emotional.
Sports, see, that's what it's an emotion. It is an emotion. It's not, as you said, entertainment. Let's move ahead and get you all the action that's going to happen, unfold in I-League on the weekend. We first kickstart with tomorrow, 2 o'clock. The early kickoff is Aizawl versus Mumbai FC. Nikhil, it's all yours. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about this?
See, there's a new wave in the Mumbai FC dressing room. New wave in the sense, जो भी negativity था, it's all gone. Okay, the players are back. It's all sorted. We just hope that the atmosphere is good in the dressing room, and just go and perform the way you have performed against Bengaluru FC and Mohan Bagan.
Right.
I don't think. I mean, we know that Aizawl is up there. They are running for the title, but Mumbai FC can do better. And I think finally Mumbai FC has found its starting 11. थोड़ा सा इधर-उधर tinker हो रहा है, but from last 3 matches it has been stable. So I think Kashyap has got what he wanted, and he'll go ahead with that. So I don't see a win. Sorry to say that I don't see a win, but I see a fighting performance.
Okay.
We don't need the team that wins. We need a team that fights. So that's what I'm hoping from Mumbai FC.
Kevin, do you see a fight, or do you see a one-sided performance from Aizawl?
Fight from Mumbai FC? No.
Yeah, I like that. For some spice on the show.
First of all, it's Aizawl home.
Yeah.
And you see the way they've been performing. They've just beaten the big teams.
Yeah.
They've given everybody a tough run. When you come to Aizawl's home, it's like when Khalid Jamil was at Mumbai FC. That fear is there. And they have been consistent. They are not getting those fluke wins. That one fluke goal that appeared at the beginning. I think the opening game of Aizawl, where they scored that the own goal, which was credited to by the under-22 forward of Aizawl. That was one of the fluke matches that I feel Aizawl has got through. Apart from that, there's no fluke to this team.
Yeah.
And anybody who says that they are here by chance, I will totally disagree with those guys. They are here by sheer commitment and sheer fight that they've shown, and resilience right till the end.
Yeah.
They don't let go even if they are not able to hit the balls on target. It's not Bengaluru. It's not like this is not our day, we'll just let it go. We don't depend on one guy. It's an all-around performance. That's the reason I don't see any fight from Mumbai.
I think you should make Kevin Northeast ka ambassador. In ISL he supports Northeast team, and इधर भी दोनों teams Northeast को पकड़ा है. Very good.
उनको जाना चाहिए ऐसा. क्यों नहीं जाता पता नहीं.
No, we are still waiting for Shillong to come to Mumbai so we can set up the meeting. Remember, Thangboy Singh के साथ उसको मिलना है. That brings us to the next match. Now before that, do you want to say the scores for Aizawl Mumbai? Kevin?
It's again going to be a small margin victory for Aizawl.
Okay.
Unless, as Nikhil's expectation, if there is a fight from that so-called stable 11, I don't see this anyway favouring Mumbai.
I'm not asking you. Let's go ahead. Now to their neighbouring team, Shillong Lajong takes on East Bengal. Now East Bengal is kind of found their way back, because after the Bengaluru win they might be confident now. 3-1 thrashing to Bengaluru, but their two major players are not going to play, Plaza and Wedson, and Shillong have their former captain in their kitty, and he's likely to play tomorrow. So what are your thoughts? We'll start with you only, Kevin. Bolo.
Shillong have Dipanda. He's the topmost scorer. And even though his form has just taken a dip in the last few games, but this team again is from that fighting zone. These both teams, Aizawl and Shillong, they are known to give it all. They don't care whether it's the league leaders or it's the bottom relegation fighters. Their performance is top notch in every game. And again, East Bengal are looking a bit pale because they'll be dependent on Robin Singh as Plaza and Wedson both are out. And I think Kevin Lobo is expected to be there.
Maybe. I don't know if he will start tomorrow.
Yeah. So Robin Singh is all alone playing up front, and a lot will be dependent on him finding his touch the way he did against Bengaluru.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough game for East Bengal because Shillong are looking stronger over here.
Nikhil?
Inclusion of Abor brings a huge difference in Shillong because he is a seasoned defender and he will make sure that Robin Singh don't make that run. So it's all positive for Shillong over there.
Let's hope for a great match, right? Just like Aizawl had against East Bengal. Let's see if there's some surprise waiting for us. The final match for tomorrow, if you're wondering where Chiranjit is, that's where he is. He's in Goa because Mohan Bagan is visiting Churchill Brothers. What do we say about that? Would there be some fight and some fear for Mohan Bagan here, or it's like...
No, it's all one-way traffic for Mohan Bagan. Even though DSK were beaten by Churchill in the last game, they are not looking the best still. It will take a while for Derek to get this team as an attacking force.
Okay.
So Mohan Bagan just coming back on the back-to-back victories that they've got from the AFC campaign.
Yeah.
So I think they're looking too strong here.
Yeah, and finally again JJ coming back to performance and nowadays full fitness. I don't think they look unstoppable at the moment. Now Sunday's kickoff, let's move on there. We have two matches. The 4:30 kickoff is Minerva hosts Bengaluru FC. Tricky situation there. Both are... In fact, I should say Minerva look a bit better than Bengaluru FC here because of the way they're performing.
Just look at them. They are also unbeaten. I know unbeaten doesn't sound alarms to Bengaluru FC because they are a capable team, but they haven't found their form. And their striker, the new striker, is expected to start and give them some hopes of...
Jugovic.
Jugovic. So let's hope Bengaluru for the love of the nation they get their goal scoring knack going.
Love of Bangalore. Nation
तुमने ऐसा मोहन बगान का स्टेडियम बना दिया नेशनल का मोहन बगान है कुछ भी तुम्हें ना नॉर्थ ईस्ट और बेंगलुरु जाना चाहिए जाओ निकल जाओ मुंबई से
What is wrong? Look at the way they've come up in these 3 years. Let go of the poor form that they're having.
Okay, bro.
But you still feel it for them. They have the good team that can match up to anyone on paper.
You get a VIP seat from S Block Blues. That is for sure.
So I think. It's not going to be easy for Minerva, although they've got just 1 or 2 wins out of those 5 or 6 games. But still, it's all Bengaluru over here.
Yeah, so this is their comeback match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, let's see. West Block Blues, I hope you're smiling right now. Now let's move on for the final match of the weekend and also on Sunday. 7 p.m. kickoff. Chennai City taking on DSK Shivajins. Who do we pick here, Kevin? Let's give them a draw. Let's draw.
Yeah, and Chennai have made so many changes. They've got back Amiri, who I'm not sure if he'll be serving that suspension because he was on the 4th yellow card. If he's back, it's good for them. DSK just coming back from that loss against Churchill, so they would be all fired up. They've got a good, strong side to match up anybody, but they've not been getting those goals as fluently as they'd expect. So I expect them to get in a few in this game. And Chennai City, the first half team, always talk about them as a first half team. So I hope they can get much better. I hope they can last longer and get in those through balls in. Charles really requires a support. He cannot do all alone because that connect between that midfield where Ganesh does all the hard work. You require somebody to assist Charles in the front line. Only then you can get something out of their game.
Okay. So, who are you favoring here?
DSK.
Okay. Right.
They look a bit stronger. They are much stronger, but then the goals are not coming by.
Great. Dave Rogers will say yes to you for your interview.
So you want to mention these 3 points, I guess?
Yeah, this will be a negative point for Aizawl here because they may get penalized by AIFF disciplinary committee for spying on East Bengal practice session. What is Khalid Jamil trying to do there? I mean,
Zarurat nahi hai abhi. Like,
kaiko?
The form there.
Yeah, it's like imagine. I'm just trying to imagine Khalid Jamil and players. Watch
our audience can't see this.
I know. Like even there, I'm trying to sign them to also imagine. The other thing is, wow, this is like a trend now. People not coming for press conferences and they get fined. Now DSK Shivajans did not attend the press conference before their Mohan Bagan game. They may get fined. I think everybody should get fined. There were so many of them who did not turn up. Your Roka nahi aaya.
Yeah, Federation should take a strict action against this.
It should not come so late.
The second thing is you call all the media because there is a press conference, then you don't show up.
And then you blame for media not turning up when you are there.
Respect.
You take and you give respect. The other thing is, we didn't mention about Mehtab Hussain and Albert Roka's tussle on yesterday's show, and the blame, Mehtab Hussain had to be saying, I can put the blame on me, but then now it says like he may not be punished because AIFF sources needed evidence, proof उनके पास enough नहीं है तो उन्हें छोड़ दिया and Mehtab Hussain is free to play and he will want to win against Shillong tomorrow. The veteran, the legend of East Bengal that he is. We all love him. Especially,
don't break legs.
Yeah, especially Chiranjeev's favorite player. Now, that's all, folks, for today's show, and we end it. I hope you enjoy the show. Too much of things. That's how weekend is, right? 2 days you don't listen from us, so we have to make it up for those 2 days as well. Now we come back next week with reviewing and many other things to talk about. That's all. If you're listening to our show on YouTube, hit the like, share, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates of our new episode. We're also on Twitter. 42 Nikhil, Boza_Kevin, Suju Matthew 94. Chiranjeet is as Chiranjeet Oja. You can also listen to our podcast on Audio Boom, SoundCloud, iTunes, and various other podcasting apps. Have a great day. Enjoy the match. Cheers.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.